the Taurus TX22 competition model. We got a hold of one, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to shoot it. Welcome to Rider's Range. We managed to get our hands on a Taurus TX22 competition model. We shot the original TX22 back in April of 2020. We'll put a link up here to that video, and that's got a lot of the details that I'm not going to go back over here. If you go back to that video, you'll see some comparisons. You'll see more detailed information on the TX22 in general. We'll touch on some of the things that are important on this, as well as a couple significant differences, and let you know how this competition model works out. But first, let's take it out of the box. And good pistol carrying case with all the usual paraphernalia, including the owner. I want to talk about this owner's manual, at least one error I found in it a little later. And in this box, you get a pistol, and you get not one, not two, but three 16-round magazines, unless you live in a state that's not free, in which case you only get 10-round magazines. And you also get optics plates. We'll talk about those. Nicely fitted case, designed actually for the pistol with an optic on it. Alright, so I mentioned that it has two optics plates because this is an optics-ready pistol, and it has one plate on it right now with the Vortex Venom, and the second plate is right here, and that's all it is, just two different plates, which each go in two different directions. You can see that barely see on this. Closer, you can just barely see there's two knobs on there, two bigger knobs on this side. So the two plates can each go two different directions, so that's the equivalent of 4, and they'll accommodate 9 optics in pretty much the RMR size, including Seymour and of course the Vortex and some others. This does not come with additional back straps, just like the original TX22. It comes as you see it right there. The texture and the grip and everything are almost identical to the original TX22. It does have the large trigger guard that the regular TX22 had. So basically the frame is the same thing, 2-slot pick rail, the whole bit. And in this trigger guard, it is nice and large, and I did shoot it outdoors with not just my shooting gloves on, but actually gloves with a little bit of insulation, and had plenty of room to get in there. We'll talk more about the trigger here in just a minute. Other differences between this and the regular TX22, the regular one had a 4.1-inch barrel. This has a, the factory says, or the specs say it's a 5-inch bull barrel, but it actually measures out to be 5 1/4 inches from breech to the end of the barrel. And it has a different kind of this is actually a thread protector, whereas the regular TX22 had a thread protector that disguised the barrel and actually was flush with the end of the slide. This thread protector is a little bit different, and the barrel is actually larger diameter is what it seems. But again, the factory says it's 5-inch. I measured out to 5 1/4. I'm not going to quibble about 1/4 inch. This gun is also about 6 ounces heavier than the TX22. It's about 23 ounces empty, and again, I'm not going to get into the specifics on this. You can look at the original video and compare it with the weights that we had in that one. And again, it's a little bit heavier, of course, with the polymer mags with the 16 rounds in it. This does also have adjustable sights if you want to shoot it without an optic on it. It has a typical 3-dot system, 2-dot rear, 1-dot fixed front. And the rear is adjustable. However, it is adjustable, of course, for elevation in a fair amount. It's very slightly adjustable for windage. You don't get a lot of adjustment on that. If you need to get a lot of adjustment, you move it over in the dovetail and then readjust the little bit of play that you have in the sight itself. However, once you get an optic mounted on it, those sights are irrelevant. They do not co-witness any way, shape, or form. We talked about the trigger in the original one. If I remember right, the original video, the trigger was not quite 4 pounds. This one, by the way, we are talking an unloaded gun. Nothing in the chamber, no magazine now. The trigger we mentioned in the original one is interesting in that it pivots to defeat the drop safety on it, and then it actually starts to slide and continue to pivot to the rear. So it's a combination sliding and pivoting trigger, and this one breaks cleanly at just under 3 pounds all day long. And very, very nice feel to it. There's a little bit of catch right there, but not much. Certainly nothing that bothered me when I shot it. Clean, crisp break, no over travel that I can notice, and just a tiny fraction of a reset. In fact, if you look at the pivot pin here and compared to the frame, and look at the reset, it's about 1/8 of an inch up there at the very bottom of the trigger. It's only about 1/4 of an inch reset. Very tactile, very audible. So very, very nice. Good feel to it, with or without gloves. And not having that tab is nice, and having a nice smooth trigger face is a really nice, makes it a really nice trigger. I do have a couple of nits to pick on this gun, though, before we get into the specifics about what makes the competition unique. And a couple of these I mentioned in the original video. One, this is a competition model, but yet being able to do a quick magazine change on this is certainly still a challenge. I've got to really work my thumb in there to be able to get that magazine release. By the way, this can be switched over to the right side. It comes set for the left, but it will switch to the right. But the way it's designed, with the trigger guard flare coming back into the grip here, and the magazine release flush with that, you got to push it in. It's not conducive to a real quick magazine change. So for a competition gun, I'm not real happy with it. Also, for a competition gun, there's really no magwell on this, and I mentioned that again in the original video. You want a magwell, you got to pick up the Smith & Wesson, or actually even the Glock. I think it's got the biggest magwell, the Glock 44. There is virtually no magwell on this. However, the mags are tapered at the top, so getting a magazine in quickly is really not an issue. But there's plenty of polymer to play with on there. They could easily flare that out into a nice magwell for a competition pistol. I also complained in the original one about the loading tabs. Now, you do have a loader that comes with it that lets you load one at a time, but I ignored it. I still will grab the pull tabs on this, and I did complain in the original video about the pull tabs being rather small. They still work. You can still get a hold of them, but it would be nice if they were a little bit more pronounced, a little bit more aggressive. Not a deal breaker, but again, just one of the minor nits that I have about the TX22 in general. But that's about it. Now we come to the differences that make this competition gun really nice. And differing from almost any other gun out there, where you have the, and again, it's an exception are 22s, of course, but you have the optic mounted not on the slide, so not on the reciprocating part of the gun, but on the barrel. Not unlike a Buckmark or the Ruger 22 lines, the Mark IVs, Mark IIIs, etc., Smith & Wesson Victory, and so forth. But it's different in that the whole slide reciprocates on this, as opposed to just the back portion on those other guns. And the optic plate is an integral part of the barrel itself. And actually, you can just barely see here where that plate is the only thing that you change. Is part under the front of the sight. That's where it works on the locking lugs. And then in this plate back here, there's 3 different sets of or pairs of screw holes to work the various optics and how to fit the various plates. So when you're shooting this thing, you're looking through the dot. You're not seeing the optic move. You're only feeling a little bit of recoil, but you're still seeing the dot where you want it. And by not having the optic mounted to the slide, that means your sight is your optic sight anyway is always in direct alignment with the barrel itself. So this thing works really, really nice. We are going to talk about shooting this thing here in just a minute. We shot it with 7 different types of ammunition. The original one we shot with 10 different types of ammunition, and we only had one failure with this, and that was because this is a manual safety model, and they make the regular TX22 available without a manual safety. This is, of course, ambidextrous. They don't yet make the competition model available without a safety. I shoot a 1911 a lot, as you know, so I ride my thumb on top the safety. This is a fairly light aluminum slide, and I did have one hang up where I was putting too much pressure with my thumb against the slide, and I did have one failure to eject. That was my fault, not the gun's fault. That did not. We went through the takedown in the other video. We're not going to repeat that here. I do want to talk briefly about this, the thread protector here, and you can run this suppressed. We didn't because this is not my gun, and I tried getting this thread protector off yesterday and couldn't do it. If I took the barrel out and put it in a vise, I'm sure that I could do it, but again, it's not my gun. I'm not going to take a chance on it at this point. Now, this is where the manual comes in, because the owner's manual says you loosen this with a 3/8 inch wrench. Now, apparently they were anticipating some miraculous metallurgical miracle that would allow the size of this bushing to grow once it's off, because it says you reinstall it with a 9/16 wrench. So somebody didn't catch that apparently in the owner's manual. So this one does take a 9/16. The original TX22 with a smaller thread protector that was disguised inside the slide actually did take the 3/8. So just somebody missed that when they went over it. Nice shooting gun. This is, I tell you, when they become available on the market, I want one of these. I just wish they'd take care of that mag release and maybe make the mag well a little bit bigger. Does shoot nice. We shot it indoors. We did have to set it in. In fact, I've got some videos that shows the very first shots of this thing, and once we put the Vortex Venom optic on there, it was shooting way low and way left. So we cranked it up. We eventually got it dialed in. And again, since I don't own this gun, I didn't Loctite down the screws that are holding the optic on, and they did work loose, which started to present a problem at one point. Got those tightened back down, and we only shot it on the 3-inch circle out to 15 yards, so, which is where we test most of our guns anyway. And it was doing okay. I don't really have any complaints with it. Any missing on it was me. I could have probably dropped that optic down maybe 1 or 2 more notches, right, maybe 1 at the most. But then we ran the 4-inch plate rack that was set up at 10 yards, and I'm very, very happy with the way this worked. Not happy with the way I worked on all of it, but again, it's a competition gun, so I had to try it on something competition related. So in addition to the 3-inch bullseye type target, we ran the plate rack with it, and that's shooting those 4-inch plates at 10 yards. And then we took it outside, and you know that Rider's Range has to shoot at 50 yards. We put a variety of ammunition through this thing. We ran our heavier plates at 12 yards, and of course it worked fine. It doesn't move those very much. But then we took it out to 50 yards, and it's hitting 16-inch, 12-inch, 10-inch all day long until the optic quit. And I don't know what happened with this optic, but it went out. I couldn't get it back on outside. Once I brought it inside, it's fine. The battery cover's down tight. No idea why this Vortex Venom stopped working. Decent battery, or at least a new battery in it, and nothing's loose on it anymore. We did check the screws a couple of times while we were out there, made sure everything was tight, and just for some reason it quit. Once I got it back on, then it quit again, and after that I couldn't get the optic back on again. So don't know what the issue is with that Vortex Venom. First time I've ever had an issue, and I've got 2 other Venoms on other pistols. Up close and personal it would work, but if this ever went out during a match with no co-witnessing sights, that would be a problem. But again, I don't blame that on the gun. This thing is a little more expensive than the regular TX22. I think the regular TX22 was like $317 manufacturer suggested list or something like that. This one lists for about $485. So you're going to pay the extra $168 or something to get the optic mount, get the longer barrel, and in this case a nicer trigger, but the ability to put 9 different optics on this gun, and I would gladly pay that for a polymer frame 16 round or 10 round if you're not in a free state, 22 pistol that is optics ready, gives you lots of options, also suppressor ready. It's a fantastic, fantastic little pistol. I love it. I want one. I'm sorry that I'm going to have to give this one back, but man, nice gun. Puts Glock to shame. Puts Smith & Wesson to shame as far as I'm concerned at this point. And it's been a highly reliable, workable gun. All right, I probably went just a little longer than I should have on this gun, only because I really like it. I've repeated a lot of things that I do like. So if you do like this video, we really appreciate a thumbs up, of course. We appreciate it if you share the video. We're trying to get more notice, obviously, to Rider's Range. We're still growing, and I appreciate all the subscribers that are continuing to help us grow. More watch time, more comments help. And speaking of comments, make sure you comment down below on this video. And it helps if you subscribe, click on the notifications bell so you know what's coming up next on Rider's Range. Comments on anything other than this video, something that you would like to see in the future, or just general chat, send it to info@ridersrange.com. And that is a look at the Taurus TX22 competition. New to the market, can't find them anywhere yet. Still looking, and in fact there's a waiting list at my local gun shop on these, but a wonderful, wonderful little gun that is going to, I think, shake up the 22 world at this point. Thanks for stopping by Riders Range.